Man, if I had a woman in my life, I'd be living in a nearby apartment, probably where the rent is extremely high and I can't afford it. I'm sitting here in my dorm with the curtains drawn and just my small little cubicle as my world right now. Because the only pieces of furniture I currently have in this room are a bed and a chair that were provided by the school. Purchasing additional pieces of furniture would be a waste of money for me. I'd be taking her out on dates and doing everything else I've expected of me, while simultaneously going to school and working. Would I have time for anything? No. Would I be able to fail? No. Would I be able to pursue what I wanted? No. You couldn't do those things. But in addition to that, once I finish school, will I be able to go my own way and become an entrepreneur? Or will I be able to tell her that I want to get up, get in my car, and live in a national or state park for 2 years, doing things like kayaking, reading, growing food, and living independently? I'm not sure. No. I would not be able to do any of this stuff. Could I fail? Could I risk fail? No, I would not be able to do these things. Would I be able to go rent an apartment in a beautiful area of the country just for the sake of living there and not to build my career because she expects me to? No, I would not be able to do any of this stuff. If I wanted her approval, if I wanted the approval of society, if I wanted the approval of her parents and family, I would have to settle in on that one career that is expected for me, the one that guarantees getting a job, and when I had to be doing it now. If I wanted her approval, I would have to settle in on that one career. If I were to clear all of my outstanding obligations right now, I would have about 8 months left before I would graduate. I do not have to make those strides. I can concentrate on my job and my studies without being concerned about my professional future. Although I am free to act however I please, I cannot engage in activities of this nature while there is a woman in the house. Because your balls, your wallet, and your life are on the line, she has the power to take you bankrupt, but she has no way of getting you out of that situation today in this hoodie session, men. So number one is very important to me. And it's just in my nature, and I'm going to talk about why not dating and not engaging with women provides you with all the chances for success while finding the golden equation known as being able to take the most amount of risk with the least amount of consequence. It is possible to lead a nomadic lifestyle while still residing in the community of your dreams. Many men choose to lead nomadic lifestyles but end up being domesticated by their partners. I believe that this phenomenon is even more apparent in today's world, where transportation is becoming more affordable and business can be conducted remotely. There is more opportunity for this, and more men have the itch for it because it's a realization. On the other hand, some women are engaging in this behavior, and they are actually taking advantage of many men in order to date them in order to achieve these things. Because they are domesticated by nature and because they are predisposed to stay in one place because of the need to be at home to care for a child, many women are domesticated by nature. However, because of the need to be at home to care for a child, this is not attainable. You can mix these things together very rarely. For instance, I dated for approximately 4 months last year while I was in and still in a part of the United States that I do not intend to make my permanent home. My plan is to get in, get out, and in 8 months. Be gone when I finish school. When the woman came along, she insisted that it was necessary for me to remain in her hometown after she met me. Because she didn't want to leave it and didn't want to leave her family, at least me seeing the area, and because I didn't want any part of that, and because the same thing could have been said about my first ex-boyfriend. You should know that I was attending a college in the Midwest at the time. Although the state has a low cost of living and a number of viable career options, it does not have the same amount of life or vibrancy as other places that I wanted to live in, and it does not even have the beauty that those other places have. Because her family still lived in the state and she maintained close relationships with her friends there, she had all the familiar conveniences of home close at hand. Those things that were ticking in her mind that were going biologically, thank goodness, such as the comforts, the protection, and the ability to raise a family, if that was something that I wanted to do. In the end, I severed ties with both of them, and one of the primary motivating factors behind my urge to leave was that voice in our heads that many of us are familiar with. Men have the expectation that you will be confined to the boundaries of the state. I've seen a lot of MGTOW videos in which the men discuss their previous marriages. Many of them are divorced, and they say things like, "Man, I just really want to get up and leave right now. This is like I'm itching to do it, even if it's a couple hours away, only like I just want to live in a new location. I want my independence." This is such a strong correlation. I see this happen. This is like I'm itching to do it, even if it's a couple hours away, only like I just want to live in a new location. I want my independence. It's so common to feel this way right after a breakup, and I can say for sure that it was one of the emotions I experienced. And men, if you don't have a woman, you probably don't have a home. Your home is your own brain. It's wherever you want to be at the time. I can't count the number of times I've driven across the country, picked up and flown out to see my sister on a whim, or driven from the East Coast all the way to Kansas City. When you don't have a woman, it's likely that you don't have a home because your home must be where a woman is when you are in a dating relationship. And because this situation gets even more difficult for someone who goes on to have children, This was carried out without the presence of a woman. Now that you have children, you are locked down even more severely. Obviously, some men you know will cut them off entirely and not stick around. But if you're one of the lucky ones and you end up earning out and not having to pay the alimony, then you're in a good position. Now that you have children, you are locked down even more severely. You will probably be required to remain in the area until you are certain that your children have reached the age of majority if you want them to continue attending the same school system, or if the courts require you to do so in order for your ex to have visitation rights. Your house can even take the form of a vehicle. I've given some thought to living in a car for a year after I graduate from college. After all, there are almost 7 billion people in the world all doing the same thing. What difference will it make if a couple of guys do something different and go and travel and just vanish? I've given some thought to it. To tell you the truth, it's not going to hurt anything if you want to branch out and go live out of your RV or live out of your freaking van for a year. Why not be that guy and do something different? All right, what I'm saying is that it's not going to hurt anything if you want to do that. Perhaps someone would be interested in hearing your story if you have been homeless for the past 10 years and have broken all of the preconceived notions about middle-class living and home ownership in the legendary real estate market. That was created both by and for women, and number 2, you can fail and risk without about 99 of the consequence. So another benefit is that you can be an entrepreneur as well, which is something that is innately in me. I always have that itch to want to be an entrepreneur, and I always want to create. I believe that a lot of other men feel the same way, and I believe that a lot of men always want to create, and I believe that men are the creators. You are aware that this is to be anticipated, but the important thing to take away from this is that it is possible to fail if you choose to pursue a career in the startup industry. If you do not have a girlfriend or children to support, you will be responsible for the consequences of your failure. You don't have to worry about the opinion of someone else because you get to decide how you will react to the consequences that you already know are going to happen. You are aware of what the consequences are and you choose to participate in them. What it is going to be like if you fail, and that is a lot easier to live with than the uncertainty of a woman leaving you because you failed. If you fail, you not only know that you lose the monetary investment at work, but you also lose the monetary investment into your wife as well by all you know from the courting phase, the engagement ring phase, and then the marriage phase. You lose on all fronts, and you may be stuck with either alimony or child support payments. All because you just took a business risk and failed. Do you think that most wives are going to be supportive during these financially trying times? No, the majority of them won't, and instead they will perceive your allegiance to be towards the money and business. All because you just took a risk in business. Do you think that most wives are going to be supportive during these financially trying times? Unless of course it's a business in which a couple's working together. Unless of course it's a business in that she's going to leave you if things don't work out, especially if she's advised you get a good job or real job during this time, as long as she puts that statement into existence once, regardless of when it is made. That she's going to leave you if things don't work out, especially if she's advised you get a good job or real job during this time. She's going to ride that out until you fail, and if you do fail, it's going to be kept cached away. If you don't fail, it's going to be forgotten, but if you do fail, it's going to be held on to as evidence, just like Potiphar's wife did when she held on to the cloak that was a false piece of evidence. From here, she could leverage your failed business as negligence, or even There have been a lot of times when I've had girlfriends who disapprove of my habit of going to the gym as a hobby, so now I go to the gym all the time, And when I'm there, I'm working out, I'm improving not just for myself, but, in my mind during my blue pill days. I really want to look good for her. But that it's perceived as cheating on her. So as you're spending all those hours setting up business contacts, getting investors, and just setting out the structure of your company, that could be perceived as cheating on her. You've been dishonest throughout this entire process, and this also applies to the guy who isn't making a whole lot of money, an income from a startup. This could also be applied to you out there, just doing something on the side for fun, making a YouTube channel. You won't have the time for this either, and you can also risk failure on this even because it's wasted time that you could be earning income and saving for the kids. Perhaps you do some carpentry on the side. Perhaps you work on people's cars on the side. Either way, you won't have the time for this that you are going to have, and you continue to do this stuff because it is of interest to you. And it earns you maybe some money, but also because you know that if you continue working in it, maybe one day you will be able to branch off from your slave job and form a more enjoyable self-employed career in the future. And so if you aim to do this with a spouse or a girlfriend, you're inevitably going to carry an inordinate amount of stress as well, not just physical things. There's going to be other intangibles like stress that you're going to carry, and this is probably going to prevent you from doing as well in your potential startup. And so if you want to do this with a spouse or a girlfriend, you should know that you're going to carry an inordinate amount of stress. It will also make you more risk-averse, which is not usually a good thing. And it may prevent you from spending extra money on a strategy or a new product that may have allowed you to expand as well. You never know where you're going to be able to grow, so it's best to be prepared for anything. The third thing is just, guys, what is it that you want to do? You know you can choose fun. All right, you can work a part-time job. You can kick it at 20 hours a week. If you're smart, you live in an inexpensive region of the country you save. You really live really simply. It can be pulled off, and you can have all the time that you want to do something else. And I know a great number of men my age who are already settling for selling out to the slave job, and they're not even married or dating, and maybe they have student loans to pay off. But the truth is that a great number of men really have no idea even why they're taking this secure career path out. And I think a lot of it is subconscious. And I think a lot of it is the societal pressures and norms that have been created as supposedly, an upstanding citizen. As a male, it looks like this. It's you get a safe career track, you get enough money, you sell out for a ring, you get that mortgage payment, struggle for that. And then you court a girl with your money. These men are praised, right? They are, it's true. And when you put them especially around a group of females, this group of females fawns over this guy and compares a you maybe to him. He is viewed as venerable and honorable, until they find a single flaw in him. And when in reality, they are not just a slave to females, but also a slave to the government. Okay, they are a slave to society. They don't really know what it means to be liberated. If they are working out of fear, you don't have to work out of fear. And you can spend your time playing freaking video games. If you want to work 20 hours a week, you should know that our subconscious is in overdrive in many of these situations, including these major decisions like attending college and working, and we scramble to get the job that is the most, close and convenient. Because that we don't even know why we do it, because our programming has said that we better do it as quickly as possible in order to get that girl and save for her, because believe me, you're going to need more than just a few loans from her. You don't have to rush either. You can take your time, do what you want to do, have fun. You could take your time. You can take your time and still make it to the destination. But man, let me tell you that you can not only fail, you can not only travel and do what you want without a woman. You can also not only do what you want without a woman. My sister's husband's brother, I've alluded to him a few times, and despite the fact that he's married, he still has some traits of a man who watches too much television. After he graduated from college, he actually bought and sold couches online and rented out a public storage unit in order to make ends meet. He worked this job for a while in the past. That was the only thing he did, and it wasn't a very good status thing for sure. He wasn't winning any chicks, at all. Probably wasn't making that much money either. However, he did have a lot of spare time, and guess what? Guess where he is now, all right? This dude took his time, he kept his freedom, got married late, and doesn't appear to have any desire to have children. He has been working at 2 major tent companies in the United States, but I'm not going to say where in the country he is. He has been making over 6 figures in both of these jobs. And in case you were wondering, yes, he does already have an Excel spreadsheet with the title Retired 45. And you guys can do this too if you still have the opportunity. And even if you're past this stage, there's so many other ways that you could benefit your life and start up a new hobby at any age and go a new path at any age, because that's the kind of world we live in today. The opportunities are always there. If you have just a little bit of capital, sometimes you could do whatever you want and you could take your time with your career. And even getting a career if you don't want a woman pushing the fast forward button on your life because of the reason why. Because she's going to snap in her fingers telling you as she pushes that fast forward button, but not the rewind or the stop button, but not here, man, not right now, no fast forward buttons. She's going to jam her fingers all over that button because she's going to jam her fingers all over that button. Today, as well as in the event that any of you have any business stories, personal travel anecdotes, or travel-related knowledge to share, please do so. So guys, enjoy your hobbies tonight and tomorrow, and enjoy working towards a career or a long-term venture on the side or even in your main work that you otherwise would not have had the time to build because of the risk of dating a woman and providing for her.